Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamualaikum and a very warm welcome to World this morning. I'm your host Hajra, Satti, and it happens to be a fine Thursday morning in Islamabad. Although it's cold, but it's very dry, and we are all hoping that we would receive some sort of the rainfall. But we will move forward our conversation, and the internet has been taken by the storm because of the latest development in the artificial intelligence and the technology. And there is the new competitor of the ChatGPT on the horizon called DeepSeek, and how it is dismantling the dominance of the ChatGPT artificial intelligence. We will say that how this entire phenomena unfolds, and this is a very interesting sort of a competition in which the artificial intelligence is, according to one of the posts that I saw on the social media, is dismantling the monopoly of the another artificial intelligence, that is the ChatGPT. But there are some important statistics, and that is related to how the artificial intelligence, or these mega data centers, they are having a very immense cost on the environment. And according to one of the research, one query to the ChatGPT or the artificial intelligence can use approximately as much as electricity as it could light one light bulb, and that too for 20 minutes. So imagine how much environmental cost it is extracting when we talk about these immense data centers. But in order to further extrapolate on this topic, our team members have a very thoughtfully curated set of visuals in the data to more in order to enhance the importance of it. And Sajeel, my very esteemed team member, has made a report on that. Why don't we go and take a look, and after that we will unfold the conversation.
Artificial intelligence and large data centers are transforming our world, but they come with significant environmental costs. The energy consumption of these technologies is staggering, with data centers alone accounting for about 2% of global electricity demand. Training AI models can consume thousands of megawatt hours of electricity and emit hundreds of tons of carbon dioxide. According to an estimate, asking ChatGPT a question consumes 30 times more energy than a Google search. Moreover, data centers require vast amount of water for cooling purposes. This water usage can strain local water resources, especially in regions already facing water scarcity. The environmental impact doesn't stop there. The carbon emissions from these data centers contribute to climate change, exacerbating global warming and its associated effects. Despite these challenges, there is hope. Tech companies are increasingly aware of these environmental impacts and are exploring ways to mitigate them. Research is being carried out to develop more efficient algorithms and less energy-intensive processors. At the same time, tech giants are investing in cleaner energy sources. Google has signed an agreement to purchase 7 so-called small nuclear reactors, with the first reactor expected to start generating electricity by 2030. Similarly, Microsoft has agreed to a deal to reopen a reactor at the 3 Mile Island in Pennsylvania, the site of the worst nuclear disaster in US history. Amazon Web Services, a subsidiary of Amazon, has also invested at least $500 million in 3 projects to power its ever-increasing number of data centers. As we continue to innovate and advance technologically, it's crucial to balance progress with sustainability. By addressing the environmental impact of AI and large data centers, we can work towards a more sustainable future for our planet.
And we've seen this is a wonderful report, and that puts into the perspective the environmental costs that these artificial intelligence or the data center are extracting on the global health, on the climate. And when the artificial intelligence started, there was a boom in it. There was lots of conversation how it will able to help curb the climate change, because it might provide smart solutions. But in our quest for the smart solution, it is becoming a very paradoxical sort of a situation in which these data centers or the artificial intelligence, in order to curb or aid decarbonization, it is actually extracting a massive toll on the environmental health. And in order to further extrapolate over it, I'm very glad that I have been joined by Dr. AMMAR. He happens to be the Dean of the Faculty of the Computing and Artificial Intelligence from the AI University. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. AMMAR, and thank you so much for joining me.
Welcome, Ms. Hajra. It's my honor to join you on this forum.
Thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure hosting you. So, Dr. AMMAR, let's unfold this conversation. You might have heard me talking about how the artificial intelligence, these data centers are extracting an environmental cost to their development. We are living in an artificial intelligence first world. So how can we talk about it and go towards more sustainable development in terms of the artificial intelligence?
Can like any technology, I'm really glad that PTV has brought this point forward. So it's like any technology, which has its pros and cons. So that these are the negative sides of artificial intelligence. What we have heard is about the impact of of this AI technology in terms of the power consumption requirement, the carbon oxide, CO2 emissions, and so on. But there are so many other aspects that also leads to environmental degradation, like the waste generation. If you happen to search about these artificial intelligence devices, they are rapidly advancing, and day by day the technology is becoming obsolete. So what happens with all that obsolete technology? That goes to waste, and this e-waste is also going to create and also cause another environmental havoc. And also whenever we generate these what about these devices, these GPUs, these chips, these are all nickel, cobalt, or rare metal based, and the all the efforts that go into the mining, the resource extraction, that also takes it all on the environment. So, like in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where they've been extracting these rare metals, that has led to actually quite much of water contamination and damage to the natural habitat. So these are the other aspects that also impact the environment. Other than that, AI can also lead us to a more unsustainable world where because of over-reliance on AI automation, things will become so easier that even without our requirement, we'll be utilizing those systems. And instead of traditional eco-friendly system where we only utilize a system based on our usage or our essential requirement, AI it so simple for us so as to adopt different technologies, and just by virtue of those technologies being available, we'll be using those, like these autonomous vehicles. And if there's an overabundance of these will also lead to more and more environmental impact. And you might have heard about the AI-based recommender systems, the websites, the way Amazon and all these websites, the e-marketing sites, they are utilizing now these AIs for really personal specific advertisement. So this might even lead to more and more overconsumption. So these are like the negative aspects of artificial intelligence. But as you have yourself said, that definitely AI has initially it has quite much of
I have to
promise.
interject here, and I have to ask you a very important question, and that is that, well, artificial intelligence growing carbon footprint put our climate goals out of the reach. For example, we have talked about that how entire world has gathered, and there's a lot of conversation on the SDGs. So how does this entire climate, artificial intelligence, a carbon footprint, and then the climate change and the SDGs goals fit into this entire conversation?
Okay. Yeah, that's a quite a relevant point. Thanks for bringing it into. Um, First, let's realize that the world has also now started to appreciate the impact of the AI on this climate. And you have yourself mentioned DeepSeek versus the Chat GPT. So these type of your models, which require much less power consumption and much less resources, as estimated, it's being said that like if GPT 4.0, the latest model, it required around $60 million of investment so as to generate that model. And in comparison, the DC model, which is much better, only required $6 million of investment. While it's quite high, but still you have seen 10 times reduction. So
Right.
now,
And thank you so much, Dr. Ammar, for highlighting this very essential point of the artificial intelligence, its growing carbon footprint, and how we need to manage that whenever we talk about the general health of the planet, of the this very precious planet that we inhabit. We will further going to develop this conversation, but after a short break, don't go anywhere. Welcome back, and before going on to the break, we were having a very interesting conversation. So in a very interesting development, the doomsday clock, symbolizing how near humanity is to destruction, has been moved 1 second forward to 89 seconds to midnight. The closest it has ever been. The bulletin of the atomic scientist cites nuclear threats, AI misuse, climate change and emerging diseases as a key risk. The Ukraine war and the Middle East tensions could escalate unpredictably. On the other hand, governments have failed to act on the global warming, while artificial intelligence in the warfare and in the misinformation are the worsening threats. But the bulletin of the atomic scientists urges that the United States, China and Russia to take responsibility in preventing a global catastrophe. And this is something that we all need to work, because if we are not going to look towards the nature is going to strike back, and we see that in the form of the doomsday. So now going on into a very interesting development that took place, and that is that Chinese athlete has broken the world record with 44 pull-ups in just 1 minute. Oh wow. A Chinese fitness content creator has won a Guinness World Record with 44 pull-ups in 1 minute, surpassing the previous record of 39 set by an American simming in 2022. Sheeting 22 initially did not have the plans to break the record, but later she refined her techniques and achieved that feat in Beijing. What an interesting development, and also clubbing another record with this Chinese record. That is, a German man has set the record by living underwater for 120 days. German aerospace engineer Rudre Koch 59 set a Guinness World Record by living underwater for 4 months without depressurization in a submerged capsule off the coast of the Panama, and he surpassed the previous 100-day record held by the American Joseph DeTore. And this is something very, very interesting, the way mankind is exploring the underwater seas. But whenever we talk about finding your groove, so nowadays I see there are a lot of people who are on the social media. I see a lot of pages while scrolling through my Instagram or through Facebook, in which there are captions in how you can easily earn money by going through this page, by clicking on this page. I think a lot of times these are just hoaxes. They're just trying to divert the digital traffic to their own page. But how to find your digital groove in the online spaces, and how to work, and especially in the post-COVID era, because there is a saturation in the online spaces and the freelance market, but how to build a brand for yourself. So in order to further delve into this conversation, I'm very glad that I have been joined by someone from the California. She happens to be HAFSA SHORISH. Assalamu alaikum HAFSA, and thank you so much for joining me.
Assalamu alaikum Hajra, can you guys hear me fine?
Yeah, you are perfectly fine, and it's an absolute pleasure having you on the show. So HAFSA, since you are expert in this particular field, I would like to say, because you have your own LinkedIn account and you're very careful about curating the content on that. So do you mind explaining or bursting some of the myths that online work is easily available, or you can easily earn the money online? What's your experience?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much, Hajra, for inviting me. So basically, I think there's so many misconceptions around earning money online, and I would like to break it down into two parts. So the first thing is like we are in 2025 now, and especially after the COVID era, everybody has, like we are living in a portfolio economy right now. So with the rise of content creators, east, west, north, south, everywhere. So everybody is like, trying to diversify their income streams, and there's nothing wrong with that. So keeping in mind your personal brand, how you want to curate it, there are few steps that I personally follow as well, and that I also suggest to businesses, to startups that I've worked with. So in my own experience, I feel the first thing is that you really need to understand that the personal brand is not limited to your personal life. It's basically the content, the interactions, anything that you touch digitally, anything that you engage with online leaves a digital footprint. So you need to be really, really responsible and careful with how you are engaging online. So you have to have a professional demeanor, and after that, you can also choose a platform that serves your purpose. For example, if you are on LinkedIn, particularly, like I can give you an example of LinkedIn myself. So I use it for my professional services. A lot of people, there are 900 million users on LinkedIn, but hardly 1 or 2% people actually create content on it. So that's like big deal. Like so many people don't actually avail the platform responsibly or sensibly, I would say. So if you are on a particular platform, first of all, you need to figure out your why you are on that particular platform. What services are you offering? Do you have the body of work to support that? Do you have an expertise? Do you have the right skill set? Things like that. And then you have to choose the platform. For example, if you're in fashion, fitness, things like that, maybe Instagram is a better medium for you. If you are a coach or a consultant, maybe LinkedIn is a better place for you. If you are into creative videos, maybe TikTok is a better place for you. So there are different avenues, but you need to know your purpose, your why, and then you need to come on these platforms, because they're two time they're like, like I said, it's a portfolio economy right now. And by that I mean that how we are told to diversify your investments. So just like that, there are many other ways to earn money besides the traditional and conventional 9 to 5. So people are trying to rely on projects, freelance places, things like that. So there is no harm in doing that. I would really encourage. And it's like, depending on what kind of stage you are in life, women with little kids, students, all these, different people in different walks of life can actually, benefit from this if they actually put the effort behind it and, go for it with full force. So my top three recommendations would be, choose the platform wisely, then know your purpose, why you're on it, and then package the services in a way that it's speaking for itself, because
Right,
anybody
and that's a wonderful advice, Hafsa. And since we've seen you are living in the US in 2010, US experienced the content creator boom. So a lot of people were going online, they were vlogging, there were family vlogs, and they're earning plenty of money. And I think Pakistan is also kind of that movement have diffused here and experiencing that content creator boom. Or every other person is into the fashion photography, doing something on the social media, creating public pages. But when we talk about a particular platform, right, and we do leave behind a digital footprint that is very forever, everlasting, right? So, and then whenever you are applying for the jobs, that might be a hindrance. So, how to make sure that you are leaving behind a good digital footprint on the social media that might not become a hindrance in your hiring, or or for that matter in some other particular situation.
Yeah, Hajra, that's a really good question. First of all, like I said, you need to understand if you have a private profile or a public profile. And if you have a public profile on LinkedIn or on any other platform, it could be Instagram, it could be Twitter, whatever. Your employers do, whenever, because right now nobody really cares about a CV or a resume anymore. Uh, they actually, first of all, they just Google you up, or they just look up, look you up online on which platform you're most active, and they would just skim through it. So I would just suggest everyone to be careful, especially in a public domain. And it's nothing like nobody's like nobody's breathing down your neck or stalking you or anything like that. But it's just, I think, basic decency or basic ethics, that if you are applying for a certain job, your opinions could be that could be personal, or they could not be siding with any particular person or party. That's all fine. But I especially if you are giving your social handles when applying for a job, or because right now, especially in fields like content writing, marketing, digital marketing, copywriting, things like that, a lot of people they have to show their showcase their work. And even now there's no set, I would say, there's no like set requirement that XYZ person cannot enter into content creation. I know so many doctors, lawyers, oncologists, people from diverse backgrounds, they are getting into content creation as like a side project. Something like, chefs, cooks, anybody is like, because that's the beauty of technology. It's like a great equalizer. So it's up to us how we are using it. So my suggestion and recommendation for everyone who would like to, because sooner or later, everybody who's online has a personal brand, if you like it or not, but we are leaving our digital footprint out there. So we just need to be careful with who we are engaging with, how we are engaging with, because a lot of times people just take this liberty that, oh, they are sitting behind a keyboard or a laptop, so they can write anything or say anything. Because a lot of times when the way people interact online, that's not how they interact in person. So just I think it's a good thing that should be taught in education sector as well, that how to conduct yourself professionally online. Nobody's taking the joy from all the memes and all that stuff, but there's a certain decorum to be followed offline and online.
Right, and Hafsa, how to navigate the complexities of the modern job hunt with your online presence. And since you're very active on the LinkedIn and you understand the vagaries of that platform, I want you to talk in terms of your personal branding and what sort of content you should be putting out in the social media rather than, just mindlessly putting out the stuff that can hinder your, again, the job prospects.
Absolutely. So Hajra, like I can speak from my own experience and background. So I am into like tech startups and marketing and growth marketing consultancy. So I am very careful with what I put out. So my topics are usually like I have narrowed it down to my niche. So that goes for everyone. Whoever wants to put out content online, they should first narrow down their niche. That what are they really, really good at? Like I can be good at 10 things, but I have to choose my top three because because if you're selling it to everyone, you're selling it to none. So you have to really narrow it down, and then you can build your own cadence. It depends on your own bandwidth, on your own circumstances. There's no fixed formula, or there's no one shortcut for everyone. Everybody has different circumstances. Everybody, like somebody's a student, somebody's working professional, somebody has little kids, somebody has to look after their parents. So just figure out a schedule. But if you're really focused, you will find your ways, and people will reach out to you. Like in my own experience, like LinkedIn has been exponential in landing me opportunities. Just like this is a clear example. I never knew you before this interview. You connected me via LinkedIn. So this was all organic because I was putting out content. Somebody reached out, and I have gotten numerous opportunities like this. To work with really high impact projects as well, just through LinkedIn. I'll be talking about something that I'm working on, and somebody would just message me that, hey, we are looking for somebody for product analytics, are you available, things like that. And then things will take up organically, and they move really fast. So I just feel that you attract what you put out there. If you are putting out things like, because just how you shop online. So you go and check the website, you read the reviews, then you talk to somebody, hey, have you shopped from this website? So it's the same for people as well. Everybody is now like a media company in themselves. Everybody who's out there, so they have the power to share what they want to share. People, if somebody wants to work with me, they'll probably come and check my LinkedIn, they'll check my Twitter, they'll check a few other places, and then they'll say, oh, they'll make up their mind, or maybe they'll get some recommendations from someone else as well, or I can provide some recommendations as well, because that's how I work here in California. So yeah, so I feel it's it comes down to your own niche, and how you want to present yourself online, because there's no such thing as like oh, just do as you like. I just feel that you need to be careful, especially with this uh, age of AI. Although all these tools are great, they're great for optimization. I am a big time user myself, but you are the one who's controlling them. So you need to be very, very careful what you're putting out in terms of because there's a big misconception about personal branding, because I think a lot of people conflate it with personal life. I it's just like it just makes me so confused that why do people do that. You can build a whole personal brand on the basis of your skill set, on the basis of your expertise, on the basis of who you are. So yeah, that would be my
And
uh,
I think that that's a great point, because it brings into the perspective the conversations around the privacy and how to keep your private life private, especially on the social media, when it is sort of a paradoxical situation, because nothing is really private on the social media. But Hafsa, for someone who has not been very mindfully using social media and they might have a negative digital footprint, what sort of advice would you recommend to that digital natives now, if they decide to use it more mindfully and for their own wise, I would say, they want to explore more wise opportunities on the social media? How to, delete stuff, or I don't know, remove that negative digital footprint?
Yeah, so Hajra, it varies from person to person. So, for example, if person A wants to apply to a certain job and he or she has the exact job description in front of them, so they can start attracting that employer by writing, about a certain topic that they think that might interest them. Or if they have some, like everybody, it's perfectly fine. Everybody shares memes and stuff once in a while, but they just have to do a content audit themselves and just see if there is anything really objectionable or something that they might land into trouble for them, so they can remove that. But I think everybody is like an adult, especially when they're coming on professional websites like LinkedIn, or it could be anyone, even the freelancing website. So I think they are responsible for their own profile, so what they can do is just do like a quick audit and just skim through their profile. And the best thing about technology is, and all these online platforms is, like, you don't need to ask for permission from anybody, or you don't need to have a blueprint to do anything. You can just start from day one, from today. It doesn't really matter. And if you have been using it irresponsibly, or you have not been very active on these platforms, that's perfectly fine. But choose your direction moving ahead, and just do a quick audit. And if you really want to see, hey, I'm starting from Jan 2025, and let's see if I stick to this schedule or whatever, the plan that they stick to, and see my progress in December 2025, they will definitely see a huge difference in how they're interacting online. So I would say a quick audit would be the best solution. And especially if they feel themselves that some of the stuff is extremely objectionable, or something that can get them into trouble, so just remove it. We have the option of delete. And I would also say, be very intentional about networking online as well. So a lot of time there's another misconception about networking. People just think that you just have to show up to events, or you just have to continuously add random
Right,
people.
Hafsa, and thank you so much for saying that. And I think we will save the debate for some other day regarding the networking and how online networking can lead you to the good opportunities. But thank you so much once again for being on my screen and for sharing some very insightful thoughts about how to navigate the online spaces. So now, in a very interesting development, the Shatao Jiong fish lantern dance is a traditional folk dance originating in the village in the China. It is a unique dance that has been passed down for 300 years. Typically performed at night with the fish lanterns as the only light source, the dance is a celebration of life fishing in the sea, with performance wearing intricately crafted fish lanterns that gave the audience a sense of being underwater. And wow, was such an interesting development particularly. And we have also seen that our dance is accompanied by the musical instruments, including the drums. And now, in another interesting development, Nepal hits climbers with the higher fees. So the Nepal has announced a 36% increase in the permit fees to climb the Mount Everest, with the prices rising to $15,000 for the peak season climbs from this September. The new fees, which apply to the off-season climbs, aim to increase the revenue for the country. The price hike comes as Nepal is grappling with the Supreme Court order to limit the number of permits issued due to concerns about it. And we will see that how these things unfold. But now I want to move towards my last segment, and which is very close to my heart, and that is how in the Ummadic imagination, or in the Ummadic intellectual framework, where does the madrasa education comes in. And when we talk about the modern, or navigating the modern complexities of the 21st centuries, how we as a Muslim community can waken up to our potential that we have witnessed in our passing era, and how does the education comes into the play in order to explore and extrapolate the complexities of that. I am very glad that we have been joined by IMRAN SANDHU Sahab. Assalamu alaikum, sir, and thank you so much for joining me.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, sir. It's been quite some time, so sir, without any further ado, please take the baton from here and tell us about the madrasa education, and how can we navigate the modern complexities of the 21st centuries with madrasa at the helm of the educational affairs.
Definitely, nahmaduhu wa nusalli wa nusallimu ala rasulihil kareem. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So, knowledge, the difference between all the other creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowledge is the first and the foremost education. In Surah Rahman, Allah says, like Ar-Rahman allama al-Quran, that I have revealed to you Quran. And then Allah also says khalaq al-insan wa allamahul bayan.
Yes.
Okay, that I have created man, and then allamahul bayan, I have also taught him how to speak. If you ponder upon how man was created, you'll see that first he learns to speak, and then he understands Quran. This is the I would say chronological order.
True.
but in Quran it's just the opposite. Quran says Allamahul Quran, like I have revealed unto him Quran, and then he says I have taught him bayan. So this means bayan first, first until unless you understand the Quran, you will never be able to do the right bayan,
True.
the right speaking, because Quran gives you hidayah.
True.
And it is a book of hidayah. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ, but not for everyone, for the people who are God conscious. So hidayah is specific to God consciousness. Unless you are conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's
Right.
existence, that is taqwa, you would not be able to receive the hidayah in letter and spirit.
Right.
So that Quran says. And then comes belief in the previous books and belief in what was revealed to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the madrasa system is all about hidayah, the book of hidayah, the Quran. And I will give you an interesting knowledge or the reality of how the previous books are, what are the previous books, and what is Quran. Quran is not only a book,
True.
rather it is kalam.
Absolutely.
The attribute of kalam is it comes from the inside of the teller,
And that is why it touches
or
so many hearts.
speaker.
Yes.
So all the previous books or sahaif were kitabs. Quran is kitab as well as kalam. Kalam's attribute is the speech, or in English we can say it's a speech. Speech comes from the inside of the speaker. So Quran comes from inside of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's an attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why it is unchanged for the last 1400 years.
Right. And Sandhu Sahab, that brings us to a very interesting conversation, and that is, do you think that we as a ummah, as a Muslim community, we have equipped our madrasa system with the required tools to deal with the complexities of the modern 21st century, right? I mean, when the British Raj came in, and when the colonial Raj set in, the first thing that they did was they disrupted the language, and then they sort of, dismantled the madrasa system that was such an essential part of the elite learning, and now it's no more. Do you still feel that we are also grappling with that, colonial effects, how to deal with this situation?
Interesting. The Victorian rule, you are talking about the Victorian rule.
Yes. Muslim elites were dismantled at that time, right?
And the changing of the way we used to communicate in Arabic and Persian and Urdu languages, they just with one order everything became irrelevant.
True.
The whole Islamic law became irrelevant. The society was divided into two kind of people, like one who would know the Victorian law and one who would know the Islamic law.
Right.
In fact, the Islamic law is still prevalent amongst the people, but not in the governance model.
True.
So
not entirely, yeah.
yes. So I would say that there's an implication of that we should actually come back to the real cause of the renaissance of Muslim world. What was the real cause of renaissance world? The madrasa system. The madrasa system, what it teaches, it is not the tool, it is man behind the tool. Kitab is also a tool.
True.
Knowledge is also a tool from a philosophical perspective. But the thing is, if what madrasa system teaches, it teaches a human being, we the human beings are different from animals.
Absolutely.
We are not actually animals, we are animals who can talk.
True.
Right? We are just not, animals cannot talk, animals cannot read Quran, animal cannot understand physics, animal cannot teach physics, chemistry. So as speaking animals, human beings, we were revealed the book of Hidayah, and that is the difference between Quran was not revealed for the animals, right? It was revealed for the human beings. So the madrasa system ensures that the morality comes from Allah, and the knowledge that is observational can be acquired by themselves. But use of technology and the tools should be done in the knowledge, in the environment that is full of hidayah, that is Quran. You know, whatever inventions we are making, we should not make a misuse of this information. Like the other day somebody came and asked me the gender selection. Can we do gender selection? So I told him, will you be able to justify in front of other children that you have that you selected a gender? What would happen if this boy that was selected through a gender would come into life and ask, why did you select my gender? Who are you to select? So there are morality issues as well. We need to understand, we need to have hidayah. And how can you make sure that the egg and the sperm were the same that you sent? So I would say that, you know, technology in this modern era should have a guiding principle controlled and governed by the hidayah.
Right, and thank you so much, sir, for saying that. And there's a very essential aspect of the Islamic learning, which is tafakkur, and that deals with the self-reflection, that deals with how we need to think. And in Quran, Allah Ta'ala says is again and again, there are signs for those who think and reflect. And I think as a Muslim community, we have taken the martial victory by the other races as the intellectual victory, and this is a fallacy that needs to be corrected in the modern Muslim thinking. And we will develop this debate in some other program. But for now, it's a goodbye, Allah Hafiz, and good morning. Thank you so much.